how do we make the mission real? And Balanced Scorecard provided us with a vehicle, provided us with an agenda for discussion, provided us with the ability to bridge that gap.
In developing its Balanced Scorecard, Rockwater worked first on the financial perspective.
Ultimately, it's our shareholders' view that's important, so we went and spoke to them. Their views have been updated and reflected in the measurement system.
Based on this input, Rockwater set objectives and measures that included cash flow, project profitability, and return on capital employed. Next, Rockwater focused on the critical customer perspective.
If you don't have some kind of a scorecard that has a customer supplier relationship in it, it can't work.
No, that's right. Both internally and externally. And that's why it was so important for us to go out to our customers while we're building a scorecard, and for our employees to hear what our customers have to say at that stage.
And generally, the attitude towards safety,
the attitude towards safety is
for all the personnel.
Absolutely.
Going out to our customers gave us some valuable insights onto what they would like to see out of an ideal contractor, which didn't actually agree with our view at times of what we thought they'd like to see. So it was a good eye-opener to many of our people.
Based on this customer feedback, Rockwater developed measurements that would help them build long-term, value-added relationships with customers. Measurements included price competitiveness, market share, and customer satisfaction.
Two of our measures are very firmly aimed at receiving direct feedback from the client. We're getting a level of detailed feedback that we didn't previously receive.
Was achieving schedule as important as we had perceived it was?
I think there's two aspects of that. I think.
But in addition to getting this feedback, we're also trying to use these measures to stress to our people the importance we place on being customer-focused. So it's being used as a tool to try and change behavior in the organization.
By monitoring and reacting to our clients' needs on an ongoing basis, it's certainly the case that the chances of having a satisfied customer are increased, and that should lead to more work from a particular client. That's got to be the ultimate aim on this.
The relationship with Rockwater has been extremely good. I think Rockwater has similar values to Amerada Hess. We're both committed to excellence in what we do respectively.
With its financial and customer perspectives firmly established, Rockwater turned to the internal perspective. What must it do well internally to meet its financial and customer objectives?
Our internal business process measures, these are the ones that we developed with the assistance of all our internal managers and their employees. And these are the ones that we feel are the biggest motivation to our people. They're certainly the ones that all our employees can influence in one way or another. Again, they're very much focused on processes.
Measures included rework, project management, and frequency and cost of safety incidents. They also included one aimed squarely at building long-term relationships with customers.
We weren't spending the level of time with our customers that we should have in order to understand what their future work was going to be.
So we decided to pick a measure of, let's look at the number of hours our people spend discussing new work with the client. If we can get in there much earlier and talk to the client, possibly at the conceptual design stage, we can hopefully influence their thoughts towards our particular strengths, capabilities, or even hardware, which will again obviously help us at the tender stage, and ultimately it may lead not even to them coming out to tender, but that we can actually negotiate a contract direct with them.
Finally, Rockwater developed objectives and measures for the learning and innovation perspective. It included measures for continuous improvement and new products. It also included measures for what Rockwater called an empowered workforce.
We very much in Rockwater wanted to focus this on our people, directly on our people. You know, were we motivating the right behavior? Were we creating the right environment to enable them to improve? We have some measures in there which tend to give feedback really on how our people feel about the company, how much they want to contribute to the company.
Rockwater measured this feedback through a suggestion system and staff satisfaction surveys. These surveys, in fact, revealed a problem. Half of Rockwater's employees worked at sea. They felt their ideas and suggestions were being ignored by management which worked on land.
The drilling down of employee satisfaction down to staff suggestion scheme enabled us to flip that around. And management was mandated to respond to any staff suggestions within 7 days' time. Our offshore workforce then started to come forth with a whole host of very real and very good changes that could take place. Very small things which enable us to save hundreds of thousands of pounds, which heretofore hadn't come to light.
As Rockwater began using the balanced scorecard, it discovered links between the different perspectives. One discovery began with a problem.
We had a heck of a time trying to get our employees to identify to one of our shareholder measures, which was return on capital employed. It simply was a measure that had very little value to them. However, there was a very clear sense among our project teams about accounts receivable. Now, where this all comes together is that we, through our measurement system, found there was a direct correlation between customer satisfaction and the length of time it took us to collect our accounts receivable. Those customers that ranked us in the top percentile paid us 15 days earlier than those customers that did not.
Rockwater project managers were able to clearly link their ability to influence return on capital employed to collecting accounts receivable. They now understood how the measures in all 4 balanced scorecard perspectives were linked together. The balanced scorecard is now helping Rockwater carry out its strategy of building long-term customer relationships. Since beginning the scorecard, the amount of business from value-added customers has increased.
Tim, okay, ready to come up. Okay, Brian, come on up.
The change is now apparent. There are things happening. There is changes in behavior. There is a focus on the value of the customer that certainly wasn't there in the previous organizations that we brought together to form Rockwater.
At Rockwater, we saw how the balanced scorecard led to strategic change in the way employees work with customers. At FMC, we again see a company fostering change. But here, we will concentrate on the process the company used to develop its own scorecard.
FMC is a collection of 27 quite diverse operating divisions. In the past 10 to 15 years, these divisions had all been held accountable to achieving consistent short-term financial performance. What the senior managers of FMC came to realize as they entered the decade of the 1990s was that managers had been trading off some long-term growth opportunities in order to deliver this predictable short-term financial performance. The balanced scorecard now provided them with an opportunity to make those trade-offs visible and to signal to the operating managers of those 27 divisions that it was important for them to keep thinking about and generating growth opportunities for the future, not just delivering on their financial performance targets.
Once corporate management decided to implement the balanced scorecard, it chose 6 divisions to be pilot sites. This proved to be an effective approach.
A significant part of the ownership that we were able to develop in the pilot systems for the balanced scorecard related to the fact that each individual manager felt like he had defined the system that he was implementing, as compared to I implemented a system which the corporation told me to implement in the way the corporation told me to do it. Indeed, we dramatically avoided instructions from the corporations about what to do.
The lithium division was a pilot site. As one of 2 major lithium producers in the world, it mines lithium ore to produce a variety of compounds for use in products such as pharmaceuticals and batteries. For division management, the balanced scorecard was an opportunity.
From our perspective at Lithium Division, the number of initiatives in the company were pretty much overpowering. When we started to look at the balanced scorecard, we felt that this would be potentially an excellent way for us to integrate and consolidate a lot of the measures to satisfy a number of the initiatives.
Though Schrader was enthusiastic about the balanced scorecard, he knew the implementation process would be demanding.
It is an immense drain on your time and on your person, given all the other responsibilities you have. I think you've got to develop a lot of momentum within your own organization, which I was able to do with my direct staff, and now that's starting to transcend the organization. But it takes a strong champion to come out with this and to keep the momentum on it.
Schrader picked his controller, Rose Andrews, to work with him in developing the scorecard. Andrews headed a small core implementation team that led a process composed of 4 steps. First, develop strategic objectives in each of the scorecard's 4 perspectives: financial, customer, internal, and innovation. Second, select measures that help assess progress toward the objectives. Third, set targets for each measure. And fourth, communicate the scorecard to the organization and manage around it.
The company's balanced scorecard process will usually start with a meeting of the senior executives of the business unit. At this meeting, the executives discuss whether they really do have a clear strategy.
We're validating.
This meeting assures that the organization does have a clarity as to what the strategy and the strategic objectives are. Frequently, this meeting is taken up with getting consensus on those objectives.
And Carlos,
You said that very well. We have producing locations in 3 continents, and that gives an advantage that none of our competitors have.
That's really a powerful asset for our lithium division that we should be able to build in very effectively into our strategy.
After an initial meeting of the senior executives, then subsequent meetings are held with middle managers and engaging them as to whether they agree with the measures that are being proposed.
During this second phase of the process, the FMC implementation team interviewed over 30 division managers to get their input.
we felt that it was important that these measures be identifiable by all of our different types of people, our marketing people, our manufacturing people, our technology or R&D effort, as well as the financial group. And those 30 or 40 individuals were interviewed in a team atmosphere in order to get their perspectives on what's important to the business.
The innovative aspect of the balanced scorecard is that the discussions that are taking place now at the middle management and at the operational levels are being driven by the strategic objectives at the top of the organization.
An important issue arose in these discussions about the kinds of measures to be used.
You know, what can we measure on across all of those varieties? Do we want to measure activities or results?
We did struggle with trying to identify numbers that were not too fuzzy, but yet incorporated the spirit of the balanced scorecard, if you will, and not just dropping everything down to the financial impact.
As you get into this, you'll find that some measures are quite objective. They're at hand and provide a clear target, such as on-time delivery, or quality measures, such as number of defects or yield. Other measures are somewhat more difficult to get at and require some subjective estimates. These could be measures of employee morale. They could be measures of quality time spent with the customer. My feeling is that a balanced scorecard can allow for a balance between hard objective measures and some subjective measures if the organization feels that those are very important.
After considering all the feedback from middle management, the implementation team found itself with more measures than it could handle.
When we started to look at the number of measures that we create, obviously, like all other divisions probably, we came up with more measures than we could possibly track. So we went through a sorting process. A number of the measures were